My wife had been engaged in a special project for 4 months. It was not her personal project, but she was the principal contributor and was responsible for its success. The project was designed to save her company, Bixler Enterprises. The preceding 4 months had been challenging due to the fact that she was compelled to work. The project was challenging and crucial for both her and the company. There was a significant risk that Bixler Enterprises would face financial difficulties if the project did not succeed. Sarah had a bachelor's degree from Albright and an MBA from Wharton, demonstrating her academic excellence. I began my career as an auto mechanic immediately after graduating from high school. After 21 years, I was still employed as an auto mechanic. I was content with this position because I enjoyed the work and it offered a competitive salary. This income was sufficient to support Sarah's college education and the raising of 2 children. While our lifestyle was not luxurious, we were financially secure. Our children had already left home and our income was stable. Sarah became pregnant 3 months after we were married, at the age of 18. During the first few years of our marriage, we resided with my parents. Their residence was spacious, as 4 of my siblings had relocated. This afforded us the benefit of a babysitter while Sarah pursued her initial college education. The pregnancies resulted in a 4-year delay in her completion of the degree. The 4-year degree program took 6 years to complete. It was challenging, but she persisted and completed it. I consistently maintained employment and was able to take on additional work when necessary. After Sarah graduated from Wharton, we rented our own place. She received job offers from several large firms, but they all required us to relocate. I was amenable to the change, but Sarah desired to remain close to home. Consequently, she accepted a position at Bixler Enterprises which offered competitive compensation and, more importantly, the opportunity to take on greater responsibility and advance in her career. Sarah was a diligent and dedicated employee. The presentation is scheduled for Thursday. At the Risson Hotel in Philadelphia, I took a few days off work to assist her as needed. Ultimately, I was only able to prepare her meals upon her return. I lacked the requisite knowledge to understand the intricacies of her profession, and I had no desire to do so. The company hosted a diverse group of international businessmen who were provided with complimentary airfare and accommodation at the Risson Hotel. However, the financial outlay was considerable, and based on some of Sarah's observations, the company may have overestimated its financial resources. It was of great importance to her and to over 200 employees until Tuesday evening. Everything was going well. Sarah came home in a new outfit, a grey suit with a white blouse. She laid out everything she needed on the bed in the guest room. In terms of housekeeping, she was normal. However, in terms of work, she was meticulous. I did not understand why she needed to pull out her fancy underwear, but I did not inquire. In addition to a suit for the presentation, she had several cute little cocktail dresses for social events before and after the. Despite my initial reluctance to attend such events, I felt obliged to accompany her if she desired my presence. She expressed gratitude for my offer but asserted that it was unnecessary. All the necessary materials and equipment were neatly stored in the trunk of her Volvo before she left work. She drove the car herself to ensure its optimal condition. She had the entire day Wednesday to prepare and the entire evening to socialize with her guests. Sarah was highly proficient in her field, and I felt it would have been preferable if I had simply abstained from interacting with her. Ultimately, she had completed her preparations. She had checked and double-checked everything. All that was left for her was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. I had made a mistake in that I had begun to check her belongings after Sarah had commenced her shower. I had thought that I was being of assistance, but it became apparent that I was in fact hindering her preparations. I was rearranging items on the bed when a small white envelope fell out of the side pocket of her makeup bag. It was an envelope from a drugstore, but not the kind that we usually use. Inside were 10 pills. I was unfamiliar with the term pren and the instructions were unclear. If necessary, take 1 pill and subsequently, a second pill was administered 12 hours later. Initially, it was hypothesized that the medication was prescribed for anxiety or nervousness. However, the instructions were unclear and lacked coherence. The prescription was written in her name on Monday. The envelope was returned to its original position as she was concluding her shower. It was then decided that further research on the medication, PR, was necessary before informing her of its existence. This would require accessing her personal belongings, which was a source of concern. While Sarah was preparing for bed, the decision was made to utilize the home computer to search for information on PR. After 10 minutes, the results were reviewed, and it was decided that the information was inconclusive. Consequently, the couple retired to bed, with the husband remaining awake. That night, I was perplexed by my wife's decision to obtain a prescription for the morning after pill, particularly in light of my previous vasectomy 10 years ago. The following morning, I arose early but felt groggy and disoriented. I embarked on a lengthy walk, hoping it would provide a sense of clarity. However, I was reluctant to return home, uncertain of what awaited me. My son, Josh, had enlisted in the Navy after high school and was currently in his first year of training in San Diego. My daughter, Gloria, had married her high school sweetheart the previous year and had recently relocated to Dallas. This left only Sarah and me in the family. I found myself nostalgic for our children, but I had anticipated that I would grow old with my wife. She was the only woman I had ever been interested in romantically. However, it seemed that my expectations were not to be fulfilled. If Sarah was having an affair, she concealed it effectively. I did not inquire about her activities, as there was no reason for me to do so. I was unaware of her whereabouts and activities outside of the home. I had complete trust in her. "John, where have you been? Do you require sustenance? I am not in the mood for conversation. What is the matter, my love? The trip will only last 3 days. You are welcome to accompany me if you desire, but you will undoubtedly find the experience tedious. I must admit that I am reluctant to attend, but I am concerned about your well-being when I am not present. Your concern is admirable, but I am confident that everything will be fine. I do not intend to leave the hotel for the entirety of the event. Instead, I will dedicate the majority of my time today to ensuring that the conference room is adequately prepared. Furthermore, tonight I will engage in a productive discussion with our prospective clients. It is likely that I will not have an opportunity to use the restroom. I will return home as soon as possible on Friday. I pledge to provide you with an excellent weekend if you understand my meaning. All of this is satisfactory, but you cannot fault me for expressing concern. I am an auto mechanic and I have a beautiful and successful wife. At times, I get the impression that you are more focused on advancing your career than on improving your family situation. I have always respected what you do for a living and have never questioned it. You have raised 2 exceptional children and supported me financially throughout my education. You are an exemplary husband, father, and provider. I would like to reiterate that I finished my coffee while she cleared the table. Do you wish for me to contact you? I respect your decision, I will refrain from doing so. Furthermore, I am going to turn off my room phone for the night so that I can get some sleep. I will call you at the earliest opportunity. I assisted her in loading the car, which she was as fussy about as she was about everything else. The journey to the Risen Hotel took her 3 hours, according to my estimation. I observed her departure from the porch. I did not inquire about the pills. I spent the remainder of the morning on the porch. I do not recall ever experiencing such profound anxiety. I felt insignificant and out of my depth. I was a local with a mediocre job and a successful wife, and I were a poor match. I should have recognized this incompatibility sooner. I felt foolish. The best suit I owned was a blue blazer and a pair of pants. At least I had a few ties, even if they were 10 years out of date. I had just finished getting dressed when the landline phone rang. I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to inform you that I arrived safely. I assumed the traffic was not excessive and it was a relatively smooth journey. I will contact you later this evening. I am currently in room 714. If you wish, you can reach me on my cell phone. I am also available via email. My mobile telephone rang. I love you. I must take my leave. I allowed myself a leisurely journey to Philadelphia. I did not proceed directly to the Risen. Instead, I stopped to purchase a steak and cheese sandwich. The evening promised to be lengthy. I was uncertain as to my actions. I parked my vehicle in the hotel garage and simply awaited the appropriate moment. Subsequently, I was compelled to gain access to the hotel. I was unable to determine the optimal time to do so. The ringing of my cell phone facilitated the resolution of this dilemma. John, I wish to inform you that the situation has reached a resolution. I am currently proceeding to the hotel lobby to engage in conversation with several individuals and partake in a meal. You have not neglected to bring any essential items. Did you know everything is fine? I have gathered all the necessary items for tomorrow in my room. Do you require anything further? No, John, relax. I am going to turn off my phone. I will contact you tomorrow morning. All right, Chuckles, enjoy yourself. This is not an enjoyable experience for me, John. It is merely a matter of work. I did not stand out in the lobby, restaurant, or conference rooms which were filled with people. This allowed me to remain inconspicuous. I found a helpful brochure that showed the layout of all the hotel rooms. I explored the various rooms and stopped at the walls, observing the crowd. I was uncertain about my next steps. If Sarah saw me, I would ascertain whether or not that occurred. I discovered an event board that listed all the rooms utilized by the various groups. Bixler Enterprises did not have any rooms available on Wednesday night. I found this intriguing. Sarah had stated that she would remain at the hotel, yet I was uncertain about that. There were 3 dining rooms: family, casual, and fine dining. Sarah was not a proponent of dining with children, so I proceeded to the casual room first. It only took 5 minutes to ascertain that she was not there. I had more success in that the gourmet lounge was a small, intimate seating area tucked away in a corner. It was the kind of table that people reserve for private meetings. Sarah was wearing a black cocktail dress with a deep neckline and pearls, which made her look elegant. Her companion seemed to appreciate it. I recognized a few of the people Sarah worked with, but he was not one of them. He was familiar to me, but I could not remember where I had seen him before. There were plenty of other free seats, so I had no trouble crossing the room. The seating area was decorated with candles and small glass candlesticks. I blew out my candle and informed the waiter that it was bothering my glaucoma. I ordered the usual chicken dish and made myself comfortable. The waiter poured my coffee for the 3rd time. I then noticed that the man sitting across from me looked familiar. I asked the waiter if he knew who he was. The waiter replied that he was Malcolm Eugene Foote, a member of the restaurant's clientele. There were no obstacles to crossing the room, and the tables were furnished with candles and small glass candlesticks. I extinguished mine and informed the waiter that it was a source of discomfort for my glaucoma. I ordered the customary chicken dish and proceeded to relax. The waiter poured my coffee for the 3rd time. Excuse me, the gentleman at the neighboring table appears to be a familiar acquaintance. Might I inquire as to your familiarity with him? I am quite certain that he is Malcolm Eugene Foote, a member of the town meeting. Is that his wife is with him? She is very pretty. This is the first time I have seen her. He always uses that table for special ladies. I smiled at him and asked for the check. I had never seen Sarah so sensual with a man before. She seemed to catch every word he said. He was speaking as if he were God. They were not doing anything inappropriate. Although it was not entirely appropriate, the atmosphere was not strictly platonic or businesslike. By the time I left, they had finished their 2nd bottle of wine. I now understood why she had chosen to wear such revealing lingerie. I made myself comfortable in the corner of the lobby so that I could not be seen. 10 minutes later, they exited the restaurant. She held his hand as they walked across the lobby to the elevator. I watched the floor indicators carefully to see which floor the elevator stopped on. The fact that the elevator stopped on the 3rd floor was indicative of the fact that she had not taken him to her room. Conversely, the absence of an elevator on the 7th floor suggested that she had gone to his room. In order to verify this hypothesis, I remained in the lobby and observed the elevator for an hour. Despite the presence of other individuals, Sarah was not among them. I proceeded to retrieve my suitcase from the vehicle and proceeded to the front desk, despite being able to provide evidence that I was indeed her husband. I had difficulty obtaining a key card. After calling the room, the staff relented and provided me with a key card. I proceeded to room 714 with the key card. I did not turn on the lights initially. Instead, I sat in the dark room for over an hour. I ensured that she would not return to the room by first packing her clothes and personal belongings. I did not leave anything behind. I also checked the package of prenatal vitamins. Upon closer examination, it became evident that there were still 10 pills remaining in the container on the dresser. Additionally, the various items she would require for presentation the following day were meticulously arranged on the dresser. These included the items she would need for her presentation, including 24 specially bound promotional folders and another 20 regular folders. All of these items were placed in the suitcase. The suitcase also contained a digital projector and a laptop. The purse and cell phone she had left in the room were also retrieved. Upon closer examination, it became evident that she had left behind only a clutch and possibly a tube of lipstick. A clutch bag and, presumably, a tube of lipstick. I proceeded to survey the room with the same meticulous attention she had shown when I was last there. Once I was satisfied that I had not overlooked anything, I placed her car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Apart from these two items, the room was devoid of any belongings. The elevator ascended directly to the parking garage. I had no difficulty transporting 2 suitcases and, 20 minutes later, I was on the expressway heading north. It was well past 3 o'clock. In the morning, I was unaware of the length of time that had elapsed. Approximately an hour or two later, my cellular telephone rang. The caller identification indicated that the call was from the Rissons. John. The presentation was designed to save her company and secure her a promotion. I placed the suitcases in the attic of the garage. Sarah never visited that area and never considered searching it for items. At this juncture, I believe it was irrelevant. Initially, I gathered my clothes and personal belongings. Many men have their own tools, which is often a prerequisite for the job. I stopped by the store and loaded my belongings into the Subaru. I also picked up my final paycheck. By then, the banks were already open. I did not have to engage in any complex financial transactions. Asset manipulation, I simply withdrew the entirety of my financial assets from their respective accounts. I partook in a midday repast in the municipality of Hagerstown, Maryland. The sum of money I had at my disposal would suffice for a period of several years, yet I was acutely aware that I would be compelled to seek gainful employment in the near future. Sarah and I shared a proclivity for labor. I will miss her. I spent a couple of hours exploring the Lurie Caves and procured lodging in the vicinity of Whiteville. I was uncertain as to my future plans. It was Saturday and I found myself at the Chattanooga Aquarium, observing phenomena of a naturalistic nature. I spent a few hours in this manner. I simply sought to relax and found the location agreeable. I had purchased a mobile trailer in the park the previous year, which I had furnished at a modest cost. It was, therefore, a suitable place to stay until I could secure employment. I intended to begin my job search on the following Monday. As a skilled handyman, I was confident that I would be able to find work, particularly if I were willing to work hard. I could remain inconspicuous until it was time to renew my driver's license or car tags. I would address those matters when the time came. On Sunday afternoon, I telephoned Gloria. I was obliged to inform Sarah of the situation, but she had already informed Gloria that I had behaved in a deceitful manner. I had caught her in the act and subsequently lost my job as a result. While I felt sorry for her, I recognized that she had to face the consequences of her actions. I requested that Gloria relay the information to Josh the next time she spoke to him. I also informed her that I would contact her approximately once a month to inquire about the situation. I did not reveal my whereabouts until noon the following day, by which time I had secured employment. In fact, the journey was relatively short. From the trailer park with the Waffle House, approximately midway between my previous residence and my current one, I found the situation to be optimal. I am unaware of the particulars of the paperwork, but I was offered $20 an hour with no questions asked. I was pleased with the arrangement, and it seemed to satisfy my employer as well. I was not required to account for the money I had brought with me, which remained untouched for approximately 2 months. Gloria informed me that Sarah had moved out of the house and was residing with her parents. Gloria was not aware of any other developments, but she was pleased that I had found a suitable place to live and was doing well. Josh called me from San Diego simply to he informed me that he was going on a cruise. He was an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He attempted to elucidate the specifics of his role, however, the technical terminology was beyond my comprehension. I was previously unaware of the intricacies of such a profession. Both individuals were cautious not to disparage their mother. I was grateful for this. After that, the situation returned to normal. I began conversing with Gloria at least weekly. Josh and I began exchanging emails on a regular basis. Gloria spoke with Sarah frequently, but she provided minimal details about her activities or whereabouts. I filed for divorce, and it appears that Sarah did not do so either. I obtained a Tennessee driver's license and registered the Subaru. I began attending a local bar on a bi-weekly basis and even engaged in sexual intercourse on 2 occasions. 2 women alternated as my nocturnal companions. Neither sought nor offered commitment, and the arrangement proved mutually beneficial. This period was marked by a general sense of well-being. Over time, I gradually lost contact with Sarah. Eventually, the Subaru began to malfunction. I had forgotten the duration of its operational lifespan, which exceeded 210 days. I was pondering this over a mug of beer one day when I realized that it had been almost 5 years since I'd left home. I had kept in close touch with both children. Gloria had 2 children of her own by this time and wanted me to come visit them. Josh almost married that woman, but at the last moment he refused. I usually worked 6 days a week and used Sunday to recover from Saturday night. There was no good reason for someone knocking on my trailer door at 6 on a Friday morning. Their rudeness was met with a naked man opened the door. His day jockey shorts were unsightly, and the woman at the door, judging by her expression, appeared to concur. She averted her gaze, but her companion seemed less impressed. I would have worn pants, but at a time like this, guests were a source of irritation. Your car will have to be taken to the storage facility. This prompted several responses of confusion, followed by a question regarding the nature of the problem. It is not related to your professional duties, but rather a personal issue. Would you like to enter the trailer? Upon initial observation, the interior of the trailer appeared to be in a state of disarray. I seldom had guests, and as a result, I rarely cleaned the trailer, even when my girlfriends insisted that we visit their place. You are welcome to put on your pants if you wish, as I entered the bedroom and left the door open to demonstrate my hospitality. I also put on a shirt. Would you like something to drink? Coffee would only require approximately 10 minutes to prepare. I relocated some items from the couch to facilitate seating. There was no response to the inquiry regarding coffee. We have an adopted daughter, aged 4.5 years, who requires a bone marrow transplant. We are seeking assistance in this regard. We are prepared to offer compensation, if necessary, for any inconvenience. I believe you are interested in purchasing the marrow. I was behaving in a somewhat sarcastic manner and suddenly realized that these individuals they were earnest in their pursuit of assistance and their predicament was genuine. I am remorseful for the interruption, please, continue. Our most promising avenue for locating a suitable donor is through the next of kin. You are our most promising prospect. Observe this. I do not intend to be impertinent, but I believe you have the wrong individual. When was your daughter born? She will be 5 years of age in July. Marcia Simmons spoke for the first time, and her voice was sincere. I regret to be the bearer of unfortunate news, but I had a vasectomy. 15 years ago, it was highly improbable that I could have been her father. Could you please clarify why your name was on the birth certificate? Perhaps you should inquire with her mother. The response was met with silence. I empathized with these individuals but was uncertain how to provide assistance. What is the mother's name? Sarah Lies Terrell. I was unable to articulate a response. Perhaps I should not have consumed the pills that she provided. Consequently, these individuals would not have a daughter at all. This was my initial assumption. I had reached a point of emotional resolution regarding the circumstances surrounding my wife's sexual encounter with the Philadelphia politician. However, the recent recollection of these events has prompted a resurgence of distressing memories. I recognize that my initial response to these memories was characterized by rudeness and insensitivity. I extend my sincerest apologies for this behavior. Regarding the current situation, I am compelled to express my understanding and offer my assistance. I am aware that Sarah is a potential candidate for a bone marrow transplant. However, there seems to be a medical obstacle preventing her from undergoing this procedure. I am uncertain about the specific reason for this limitation. Nevertheless, I recognize the importance of Sarah's potential role as a donor. She has the willingness and suitability to contribute to this process. However, she is too ill to donate marrow. The doctors have refused to even consider using her as a donor, despite her having less than 6 months to live. This decision seems illogical, given that she has always been in perfect health. Furthermore, it is unlikely that a diseased liver would prevent her from donating marrow. However, the hospital has rejected her signature on the consent form. Is there something wrong with her mental state? The doctors looked at me in silence. I was aware of the answer, but I refrained from offering it at that moment. I did not wish to exacerbate the situation further. 10 minutes ago, I was indifferent to their plight, but now I felt compelled to shield them and provide assistance. How did this come to pass? Could any of my progeny be of assistance? Perhaps, but we had placed our hopes on you. Why not pursue your biological father? We assumed you were the child's biological father. We are uncertain as to the identity of the other individual. Sarah did not divulge any information regarding another potential father. A potential father figure was identified. Mara added that the majority of the information had been obtained from the adoption agency. I excused myself to get coffee and use the restroom. While the coffee was brewing, I relieved myself. I attempted to be discreet, having already caused Mara sufficient embarrassment. Where do you reside? Westchester, Pennsylvania. I will reveal the identity of your daughter's biological father if you pledge to pursue him relentlessly until you achieve your objective. What is the nature of this information? Your daughter's father is a prominent politician in Pennsylvania. He will undoubtedly deny the claim and likely provide you with legal documentation to impede your efforts. However, if you are willing to exert sufficient pressure to persuade him to acknowledge the paternity of the child, you can potentially compel him to. A bone marrow transplant is the desired outcome. However, the question remains as to how this can be achieved. I am a mechanic by trade, working with metal. In my opinion, the most effective approach would be to utilize television, radio, and newspapers. Politicians are often willing to avoid negative publicity. Do you have any acquaintances who might be able to assist? They were both smiling. I must have said something that gave them hope. I believe we can succeed. Who is he? Malcolm Eugene Foote. He is running for U.S. Senate, and I believe he will do anything to avoid bad publicity. The coffee was ready, but David and Marshak were eager to return home. I informed them of the contact information for Gloria and Josh in case they needed assistance. I was confident that they would be willing to help. I also requested that they inform me of Sarah's whereabouts. I would likely be in Pensacola before they even returned to Westchester. I obtained a haircut and purchased a new shirt. Sarah was unfaithful and had negatively impacted my life. Nevertheless, I was motivated to present myself in a favorable light upon our encounter. The residence was another trailer, albeit a more upscale one. There was a Volvo parked outside with a flat tire and a damaged windshield. The woman who opened the door did not appear to be Sarah. She seemed to have been the victim of a sudden and severe assault, leaving her soaked and disheveled. She was likely in her late 40s or early 50s, and her appearance suggested a history of hardship. The lack of makeup only served to accentuate her unkempt appearance. I was regrettably unable to engage in conversation. John Terrell, I had not anticipated your presence here. I must concede that I am at a disadvantage. Sherry Hart, please come in. May I offer you a beer? No, thank you. I am here to see Sarah. In front of me is a container. I would like a beer. After giving up her baby for adoption, Sarah relocated to Pensacola. She purchased the trailer with the proceeds from Bixler Enterprises following her dismissal from her previous position. She had a profit share, a 401k plan, and vacation and sick leave. She subsequently secured employment at a local garment factory where she worked in the shipping department. It was there that she met Sherry. Sherry rented a room from Sarah, and she was the sole source of income for Sherry. She began consuming alcohol, initially opting for wine but eventually progressing to stronger beverages. Due to her inability to control her drinking, she was ultimately dismissed from her position, resulting in her reliance on savings. She never dated or socialized, and Sherry, who stayed with her and paid her utilities and purchased food that Sarah refused to eat, supported her for over 3 years. Remarkably, Sarah had a will and left me a double trailer and a Volvo. Sherry explained that she was so distressed about her situation that she simply gave up. She did not attempt to terminate the pregnancy or even prevent it. The adoption had been arranged several months before the baby was born. She did not resume her employment except for the low-paying jobs she performed inadequately. Shah stated that Sarah appeared to lack ambition or a sense of purpose in life. Sarah frequently discussed me but was reluctant to attempt to contact me. Gloria provided her with my contact information, but she never reached out to me. If a one-night affair had further consequences beyond the emotional distress it caused me, I was present for a period of 2 weeks. Following this, I sold Sherry's trailer for a nominal fee of $1 and received $1,000 for the Volvo. 2 days later, I was in Westchester visiting my new acquaintances, David and Marsha Malcolm. Eugene initially resisted, but David and Marsha persisted until he acquiesced. He demanded DNA tests to prove his paternity, presumably to maintain a sense of integrity. He was ultimately compelled to undergo a bone marrow transplant. Malcolm's political career and family life did not elicit a favorable impression. His decline in the polls was so rapid that the party replaced him with another candidate a few months before the election. His wife filed for divorce and was very public about it. Sarah and I are now traveling to Dallas to see Gloria and my grandchildren. I am unsure how long I will keep Sarah with me, but it will likely be until I have someone.